Hi, Professor Lockhart. This is Chrissy, your problem student. Well, I didn't really have time to make a super professional video like I wanted to, but I did want to make sure that my final presentation got turned in. With four kids, it got a little bit hectic. And I exactly haven't been able to be at work for 3 days this week, so I'm going to kind of just go over a little bit of the presentation that I had already sent you, and add a little bit more to it. So first of all, I have a couple different perspectives to give you based on the article, and two people helped me with this. One is the director of my of the Human Resource Support Center that I work in, and his name is Jonathan Miller. And then another viewpoint that I got was from an actual human resource manager who is over about five different facilities with the Army and Air Force exchange services. I needed a little bit of help, and those were the two people that I thought to go to because, first of all, this particular union is represented for our Ohio location, and also Mr. Miller has experience in the field and at headquarters, so it really kind of helped me understand what I needed to get from this information. So, first of all, I want to kind of just talk for a minute about if I was the president. So, an associate with more than 4 years seniority was not chosen. And to this, we have to really go back to the union written laws, to their bylaws, and make sure that we're following everything appropriately. This can go from anywhere to how often they receive their annual increases, to any disciplinary actions. And in this case, it's just to make sure that we didn't make any boo boos as a human resource manager. But we do have to have a conversation with the president. And for that, the contract states that the cooperation agrees to give full consideration to seniority. The seniority wasn't clearly factored in, especially since Elder had held the leader slot for both the second and third years previously. At the Army and Air Force Exchange System, our service, we have a way to calculate where our system automatically calculates all of their time served, no matter what shift they're on. So that really helps us to make sure that each one of our types of unions are taken care of thoroughly. And I just think that that's an important thing to note because this company may not have that kind of system set up. And also, a lower grade associate was chosen for the leader slot. The elder, who was the position of the leader previously, and younger was not. Elder had no disciplinary issues or performance issues, so he is clearly qualified for the job. This is a big factor because we want to make sure that we're hiring, or in this case, giving promotions to the people who deserve it and not just the people who have seniority. Because just because you have seniority, you could be doing some vile stuff behind the scenes. And as a human resource professional for the past 2.5 years, I have seen that and I have interacted with that. And, a lot of people don't get the discipline that they should because they just plainly don't get caught. So it speaks highly that there was no performance issues and that he did have the qualifications to do the job to the most efficient level, or to the most efficient level out of the candidates that we had offered to us. And it's also not Elder's fault that he qualifies for the second class machinist, but hasn't been promoted because of the lack of vacancies. We go through this all the time at our company. There's so many people that have the qualifications for promotions, but they just don't get it because of a matrix system. And it's unfair and it's not really popular, but that's kind of just how things go. If there's not a lot of vacancies and you have to do a matrix based off of their, if they've had any disciplinary procedures, if they've if they are a part of the union, what what's their grade. Ours are A through Z, so that's how we know which which class they're in, which branch they belong to. At headquarters we have AFGE branch. I think it's 1583 if I'm not mistaken, and that's completely different than the Ohio branch, which has the union that we're speaking of now. He also was first class and had seniority, so he clearly should have been chosen for the position. And in that, I'm speaking of Elder. Elder was a good leader on the other shifts, and he stepped down because he wanted to be with his family. He was a more family based person, and he wanted to make sure that he made the right decisions for his family and what needed to be taken care of. And once again, we'll just go back to there's no records of disciplinary or performance issues in his file where he was the leader for second or third shift. That's a very important issue because if you've got 5 candidates, and which is what we do, we have top 5 candidates, and you've got one that you know very well, or let's say you have all 5 that you know. You're very familiar with the candidates that are applying because they're all internal. Well, you want the one that doesn't have any disciplinary problems because you don't want any problems. You want a leader that will be strong and be able to take the job seriously. And if someone has attendance issues or, subordination or anything like that, then that can definitely pose a problem. Then I'm just gonna go down to as the viewpoint from the HRM, and then this actually is on the PowerPoint. The version from the IAM, it's not included in the PowerPoint because I didn't feel that it was especially important. I just kind of wanted to quickly touch base on it within the presentation. So the job, it didn't need to be posted according to bylaw 20.1, but it was posted anyway to give everyone the opportunity to apply. And so there was a qualifications list that was made before the posting the job. So they knew exactly what they were looking for in an ideal candidate. And, when the vacancy announcement, it was also included in there. So the applicants would be aware of the qualifications listing, exactly what they were looking for and what they wanted to achieve. Murphy asked the questions based on the qualifications that she wanted, that she really felt that were important to fulfill the position in a productive and efficient manner. And I think that that's a very strong point because just because you have the qualifications, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should have that position. There are many people that get promotions that they do have the qualifications, but once they're actually in the job, they don't they don't do a very good job at it. We have this all throughout our company. It's very aggravating when you get hired in because you know somebody and not because of the qualifications that you have. So it was great that Murphy made the list of the qualifications and she stuck by it. So that was a really important part to me. Contacting Hatch was a good idea because it was a reference check on the applicants. The concern that I have with this is that we really don't know who Hatch is, what shift he supervises, or does he supervise both applicants? Does he have, is he non-biased? I think that that's the most important part. There was a case made against Elder in regards to initiative and communication. Um, Elder did, but that was only because Elder did not implement the suggestion of manning a specific machine. So that shows a lack of initiative and desire. We really don't want that as a leader. So that does kind of go against Elder in this case. The carpool issue, that should not be a factor at all under any circumstances, since there never was an attendance issue. So, as previously noted, seniority was considered as well as the qualifications for the position. Younger was just found to have the desired qualifications, which is why she was chosen. It had nothing to do with breaking any bylaws or, having um, any misleading information. They knew what qualifications they wanted. They went by the bylaws, and in this position, they chose someone that did not have seniority. That is perfectly acceptable because you want somebody who's going to have the initiative, who's going to have the drive, who's going to be able to make the tough choices, not someone who's just been there forever, because they could have been there forever. To use my company again, you cannot get fired. You can be the most stupid person on the face of the planet that sits there and plays on Facebook all day long, and you won't get fired. It's not like in the civilian world. So, seniority, it really can't come into play in a lot of different positions. I recently was promoted to a workers' comp technician. I do have 5 years seniority, so that was kind of counted for me. Yay. Since it's the longest job that I've ever had, the longest company I've ever stayed at. But I also have a long list of qualifications that help with like data analysis and statistics and different things that a lot of other HR candidates don't have. And I think that kind of goes with this case. And let's see. And then to just kind of touch briefly as an arbitrator. Now this is going to be on on the final slide. Um we kind of need to understand why a grievance was even filed for this selection, because the issue seems to not be a lower graded person, but more about seniority. And yes, seniority is included in the bylaws, but we also have to understand the list of qualifications that they had going into this situation, and that seniority is not the only factor that comes into play whenever we are selecting candidates. And that's a tough decision as an HRM. Do we are are we just gonna hire some or promote someone just because they've been there longest? What kind of actions have they taken? What kind of employee have they been? We really want to make sure that we are promoting the highest qualified individual and not just the one who's been there the longest, because that does not work out well. With our company that my HRM friend and I, both work for, we've seen a lot of people get promoted that really shouldn't have been promoted, and it was just basically because the job pool was really shallow and they had been there forever. And so, if you stay in a place long enough, eventually you'll get promoted. That wasn't the case here. Here we have a good job pool selection, and Younger was selected because of his qualifications and because he's an employee there. Elder was not, because we can't make a decision based solely on seniority. We do have to factor in the qualifications and make sure that we completely do our best to make sure that they have that we have somebody that's going to be an asset to our team. Because if we don't have anybody that's going to be an asset to our team, then we're going to be losing in the long run, and that's going to eventually hit our bottom line. And you really don't want the general managers bothering the HRMs saying, "Why are you giving me people that can't do their job anyway?" And then just one more point that I kind of would like to touch on from the arbitrary perspective. Um, they may have ruled in the favor of elder, since it seems like the selection process changed for this one and only specific vacancy. That can definitely be a problem, because we don't want specific roles for specific vacancies. We want to make sure that we have a uniform selection process. And if this one person consistently contacts supervisors for all applicants, I would rule in favor of the corporation, since it appears the process is being consistent and fair for all the leader postings. So that's kind of what I had. I know it's not the best presentation in the world, but I did want to make sure that I had the assignment turned in. I had a couple of really bad weeks this week, and these 5 different disorders have just been killing me this session, unfortunately. But I did want to end on a strong note, and I do hope that I can at least make a C. I just need to pass the class. I'm so close to graduating. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the session and this video. I know it probably wasn't as professional as you had desired, but I just simply ran out of time. And I did want to make sure that it was turned in at the appropriate timeline, since I am an hour behind you. Okay, well, enjoy the weekend that you have off, and hopefully you'll have a great next 8-week session. Have a great day. Bye.